Welcome back to Smashing Heads Podcast. This is All Stars 2, Episode 7, and this will get us current with everything that we needed to do. My name is Zach, and I'm joined by my wife, Hannah.
I'm here, I'm mad, and I'm ready to fight.
And my best friend, Jake.
How's everybody doing tonight? Back-to-back watching things stack with Zach. That's a fact, Jack.
Yeah.
You took my that's a fact, Jack. That's whack, man.
To be fair,
Oh.
to be fair, I would say probably Jake has said that before you did. That's
but I
a fact,
said it.
Jack.
I said it in the
You
last
did say it in
episode.
the previous episode, which was only about 30 minutes ago. Yeah, like if you haven't listened to the last episode for some reason,
What are you doing with your life?
again, holidays, dual sinus infections, a lot of stuff going on. But we are back in a place where we can get things going, and
Well, we're back in a place emotionally, too.
yeah,
We're
You
things
sound like
going.
Kermit the Frog opening that sentence up.
I like Kermit the Frog.
I do too.
Everybody likes Kermit.
I like the Muppets just as a whole.
Muppets are great. Did you ever watch that show growing up?
Yes.
I watched it a lot, even though it scared me sometimes. When I was like 6 or 7, my favorite Muppets episode ever was the one where Alice Cooper was in it. And it was like, it was a scary episode, but for some reason, I loved Alice Cooper.
Alice Cooper's a good guy in real life. Like even like this last weekend over like Christmas, he like was at like a homeless shelter like serving food to people. Like just this is what he does on his own time.
That's awesome.
Hey, thank you, Alice.
Yeah, thanks, Alice. We started this episode off. I was showing Jake Brie Larson's music career before she became an actress. Very much just some marketing guys' vision of what they wanted in a pop singer. The first song,
In like 2003, though.
yeah, the first song wasn't bad. It was She Said, which it was very 2000s-ish.
That was the only one I knew
But
of.
we were like, it's fine. And then we found one that was like an AOL live session. It was called like
Finally out of
PE, and it was just like, oh, a 40-year-old man wrote this thinking he's relating to like 12-year-old girls. Because it's like, I just want to play my guitar. That won't get me far in this class. I'm not good at gym. Please give me a C. And then they had a weird keys going, wiener, 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 wiener.
The
guitar
said,
was just like,
wiener, wiener, wiener.
It was not good at all.
That's got it. That has to be one of the worst songs I've ever heard in my life. Almost on par with
I was just thinking about this girl. What's her name?
the red dress.
Girl. I think hers is worse.
That is worse, but this is really bad.
Hers is definitely worse, but I
What's her name, Zach?
I don't even know.
It doesn't matter. She's red dress.
Just
girl.
Google like red dress. I mean, get on YouTube, look up red dress. It's some British girl. It's really bad. It's the Brie Larson one is bad because you can tell someone thought that like this is gonna kill. This is gonna do really good.
And it's horrible. It's horribly written.
Yeah, it's just really bad. Like Jake and I could have wrote that song when we were 15, like just musically.
Yeah.
At least the red dress song had a deeper meaning.
Her name is Sarah Brand, by the way. Red dress.
Okay.
But the red dress song had a more normal, deeper meaning. This is I just want to be out of PE class.
Which when you're
I've never
but I've never been a 12-year-old girl, so
I used to be a 12-year-old girl, and I enjoyed PE.
well, not if
I
you're
had fun.
Brie Larson or whoever wrote that song.
Well, I guarantee whoever wrote that song was never a 12-year-old girl.
Oh, for sure, it was a middle-aged man that wrote that song.
Had to be a man.
Yeah, but
I just burped. I'm sorry.
Straight into the mic,
What?
too.
I thought it was gonna be quiet.
yeah, it wasn't.
It wasn't.
So
My bad, y'all.
anyway,
That's a first.
I don't think I even plugged in last episode. Patreon.com/SmashingHeads podcast. Actually, we're gonna be doing a couple giveaways there, and one of them is on my desk right now.
Oh God.
It's the keyboard.
It's not. I've been getting back into woodworking stuff, and I made a couple things that I'm just gonna give away.
Yeah, Zach's gonna give y'all some wood.
Yeah, technically yes. Why did that take you so long to get that?
We were trying to hold it in, and then we looked at each other and lost it.
You lost it.
Yeah. He was just encouraging.
All it took was us looking at each other.
Like, that was clearly the joke from the
I
beginning.
know. I knew it was coming, and then when he said it, I tried so hard to hold
What's
it in.
that hand? You knew it was coming?
Great.
That's what she said.
So if you didn't listen to the last episode, Hannah's gonna have to be put to bed probably.
Yeah, Zach's physically gonna pick her up and take her to bed midway through this episode.
So
No, it's more towards the end.
well, let's just get into it again. Patreon.com/SmashHitsPodcast.
Yeah, this episode started like the exact same way the first episode did.
Well, the last episode.
The King's,
Yeah.
the King's Palace.
Except
dancing.
now they have a rap. Tech,
Now they have a
Tech
rap.
has verses now.
Which there's actually a song, right?
I heard
He
about
actually
that,
did
but
a
I haven't
song.
listened to it.
That song that plays at the
They
end of this
made
episode,
They
that's,
made a
that's
song.
his song. That's him.
Tech?
That's Tech.
Yes, kind of like Jeyyy did with.
Or Emmy with Alien.
Hold on.
No, Emmy's actually like a
appar-
music artist, but no, like Jeyyy, Challenge Jeyyy from Big Survivor or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Save the Palace behind the scenes.
Can we
Tech
play
Holmes.
it? I haven't heard it.
We'll get copyright claims.
Can we listen to it later?
No.
Why?
No. That's funny though.
I
that
heard about
they
it, but
actually did.
I haven't heard it.
Well, Brad decides that he wants to talk to Nehemiah and see if they will have to vote. It's supposed to say each other, but it says vote each tiger.
Brad really needs to know if he and Nehemiah are both going to be voting for tigers.
And Janelle doesn't want him to do that. She's like, we don't need to have a conversation about hypotheticals if there's no reason to like get into that, which I do agree with. Like, there's no reason to like throw that out there.
I agree, but also Brad was saying that he's really close with Nehemiah outside of the game. Like they are friends in real life, and he's wanting clear, open, honest communication with Nehemiah because they're clearly not in the same alliance in this game. And I think Brad is just wanting to get on the same page as Nehemiah and say, okay, if it comes down to it, are we going to say each other's names or is that not okay? And like, I understand Janelle's perspective on that, on not wanting to talk with Nehemiah, but also I think if you have a genuine friendship with somebody, talk about it.
It's different though, like in a game situation. Like, I don't think you need to because if you bring it up and then you go against what you have talked about, then it becomes a whole nother thing. But if you go in and you're like, hey, well, clearly you're in this alliance that you've made known to everyone, and I'm not part of it. Like, it is what it is. Like, you can kind of feign ignorance on it. Like, I think setting yourself up to possibly have to double cross that, which he did have to do in this episode, and was the right move. It just it makes it a messier situation. But then we get the kiss of death of the episode. Casey's FaceTime call with her fiance of like 6 years, I want to say.
God.
Yeah,
She said they've been together like 6
years.
years.
They've been
Maybe
together.
not engaged for
okay.
6
No,
years.
they've been together for 6 years.
That's fine,
And,
yeah.
and
The fiancéed up part for 6 years.
That is a long time to
no,
do.
That's a
she
long
said they've been
time.
together for
Yeah.
6 years.
So yeah, again, FaceTime. Last episode, we know that was what.
Which she gave it kind of, she gave us a little insight into that, I guess, by saying she's not on her period.
Yeah, she's like, I'm so emotional. Go, I'm not even on my period. And he's like, cool. And,
Yeah.
Honestly,
I didn't think anything of her saying
they
that.
they put. I want to say they put like subtitles for
They
that
did.
part, and I was like, they're showing us this for some reason, but I didn't.
I didn't think anything about
I
it.
told Hannah, I was like, well, she is pregnant in real life. I knew that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know it happened during. Well, again, we'll get to that in a minute, but
Because you can't fly pregnant. Right?
that's not true.
You're not supposed to.
That's not true. either.
Not in your third trimester.
Okay. I was
Yeah.
going to say, she better get home.
She got about 6 months of pregnancy where she
Oh,
can
so
fly.
she'd have been fine.
Yeah. So
She wasn't even shown yet.
we get to the daily. It's called Steer Clear. Basically, you have one person out on this like big jib, and then you have the other person controlling it, and the person flying around out there has to grab flags off of motorcycles, cars, whatever. The only thing I don't like about these type of dailies, there is a level of human error that can go into them that can vary from round to round. So the drivers might drive a little closer for one person than they did another, not like meaning to, but there is just that level, or like they might go by a little bit faster or whatever, and like that can change the way that this game played out, and especially if it's a time thing. This one wasn't timed; it was just like grabbing as many as you could.
Yeah. Hey, when's the last time you heard "Riding Dirty"?
It's been a while.
It's probably 2009 for me.
I couldn't even begin to tell you.
It was a long time ago.
He's Chameleonaire.
How's he doing?
Can you name another song he's done?
No.
No.
Who did the ice cream paint job song?
Not him. I do know Chameleonaire talked about one time that he was not going to put the N-word in any of his songs because he said, I saw way too many like young white women yelling it at me at my concerts.
Yes.
And I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah, they will.
Like, they were way too comfortable using
yes.
that. And so, I hope he's doing good.
We should check in on him.
Doesn't that song talk about having a PlayStation in the back seat or something?
People used to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Dude, I'd love to have a PlayStation in the back of my car. Like, set up to play.
Exhibit did that kind of stuff all the time.
There's a dark side behind all the the TV show. A lot of times half that crap didn't work. And
I heard about that.
Like, there's a couple YouTube channels that deal with car stuff that I watch, and I don't even care about cars, but Donut Media is a good channel, and they like dove into it. And like that company, West Coast Customs, is actually like a really good company. But for like TV stuff, sometimes they would keep their cars for like 6 months, and then
which is insane.
Other times they would like make the car worse than what it was really to make it better for TV. Like, oh, look how bad this is, and then they would like, oh, we just saw this fish tank in here, and then it like didn't really work. It was just a facade of stuff. And so the people like they ended up with those cars had so many problems with them because also they didn't do any like mechanical or engine stuff. It was just all paint
aesthetic.
and aesthetics. And so like, great, well, my car still has 300,000 miles on it and it's falling apart. But
like,
I liked watching it.
Like,
though.
I loved that show, but what's the realistically, what's the resale value on that? Like, if that car, if somebody has like a beat up car with 300,000 miles on it,
not much.
it quits running. I mean, they've got to sell it and get something else. What do they do?
Well, these days it wouldn't be very much because one, the technology would be so outdated, but then two, back then you could say, hey, this was a car that was on Pimp My Ride, you can sell it. But like, I don't think anybody these days is like, oh, I need 8 TVs in my trunk.
Yeah.
Like, it's just stupid stuff like that.
I just wondered if like they got less resale value out of their car.
I'd say they probably got more than what it was initially, just because you could say, hey, it's got all these upgrades, but it's
got all this weird stuff in it.
Yeah. And apparently, you know how they're like, oh, this guy's he loves clowns. Apparently half that stuff was made up.
Yeah.
They just assigned a personality trait to somebody.
Very par for the course for MTV during that era.
Yeah. And like all the houses they go to, those aren't their houses.
Yeah.
And
what?
Yeah, the houses that like they show up to and they're like, hey, we're here to pimp your ride.
Oh, okay.
That's not their house. It's just a production house, and then they had them waiting inside and
That's
be like,
weird.
oh my God, I can't believe it. Anyway.
It's weird to not do it at their own house.
Well, Exhibit's not going to drive all over California to get people's cars. So anyway, Nehemiah and Melinda go first, and they actually kind of kill it. They get 20 flags. She's pretty long. Like, she seems tall. I don't know how tall she is.
I don't know.
Partnering up with Nehemiah is a great choice for her. But they get 20. Ion and Tech go next.
She just screams the whole time.
She screams like a cartoon character, which I do think some of that was they kept looping the same sound over and over again. But Tech's only 155, and he's what, like 6'4", 6'5", something like that?
Tall.
Like that is not a lot of weight there. He can probably barely move that crane. But they only get 11. Latarian and Jasmine go, and of course she's awful, and they get 10. And Darrell and Janelle 17. Casey and Kohutta get 16. MJ and John A get 19.
They did really well.
Yeah,
and they were only one flag behind Melinda and Nehemiah.
True,
like they were
but
that close to being taking the lead.
2 flags behind Brad and Jody, who got 21.
Yes.
Who like I don't see how Brad and Jody are going to lose a daily if it's a partner format.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, is one of them not good at puzzles? One of them good
Jody's
at puzzles?
pretty good from what I remember.
I don't remember Brad being bad at puzzles.
Yeah. Brad's just not been good like politically.
Yeah.
he just that was his big downfall, and she's not great on that either. She just kind of like wants to stay out of everybody's way. But yeah, Brad and Jody kill it, and Jody was like, "Oh, I had to be really assertive. Like I had to start yelling." And I was like, "No, that's what you want from a partner when you're just like doing the legwork in the back. Like you got to tell him where to go." And so again, they kill it. The losers are Latarian and Jasmine, but they have the life shield from last thing, and so that means Tech and Ayanna are the new losers because they were the next up. Not a good look for the daily for King's Palace people.
No,
except Nehemiah. Look. Nehemiah did good. Nehemiah and Melinda. So we go into the nominations where there's Brad and Jody are sitting there again, and Brad wants to put Cohutta and Casey up as a decoy, and then Nehemiah and Melinda as their target, which, again, like, they can't go after Jasmine and Latarian because they're off the board with the life shield. And by the way, like, they didn't even ask them. Like, they're just like, oh, they have the life shield. TJ's like, they can't be the losers.
Yeah.
And so then you're at that point, you're like you're running on numbers because he's cool with Darrell, he's cool with MJ, and cool with Cohutta. So he's got to put Cohutta, and then Nehemiah's the only one left. And
this is directly after Nehemiah has told Tech that he's had people tell him not to trust Brad. And he's like, but, you can't really put a price on friendship, so it'll be fine. He's not going to say my name. So Nehemiah was on the page of assuming that he and Brad would not say each other's names.
I got to say, I think Nehemiah is playing up his screen time a lot in this season.
I do too, because there's a moment after this where he and Brad have a moment, and because I told you about it, I'll just wait till we get to it, though.
Yeah, and so I think that's why I think he knew Brad had a good possibility of voting him in. He's made it very clear like who his alliance is, and Brad is not part of that.
And now that everybody's partnered, there's a lot less names in the pool to choose from.
Yeah, and also like when people have life shields and whatever, it takes them out of the running, and so you're only down to a handful of people left, and so they ended up putting in, like I said, Nehemiah and Melinda, and then Cohutta and Casey. And then Brad like comes back in to like Nehemiah looking at the board and was like, "Oh man, that's not, I really wanted to do a different play, but and I was like, "Well, that's not true." Like he made it sound like Jody forced his hand on this. But really like it's the right game move.
Yeah, it is.
And Melinda was standing there and she's like, "No, I totally get it. I totally understand."
It's just like I was like, there's no need to like plead your case on this. Like one, they understand enough about the game, but two, like that's not even what happened. You're like, I need to put Nehemiah in, and I was like, yeah, that's the right call. Like don't backtrack on it. How'd you feel about him turning his bucket hat into a fedora?
I had problems with it.
Did he do that?
He did that because
he flipped the brim up to make it like a fedora look.
No, you can't.
We
do
know
that.
this because I brought this up when Brad walked out to sit down with Jody. I said, "Ew, is he wearing a bucket hat?" Yeah. And then they did a close up, and he had flipped the back of it up. And I said, "Ew, no, it's a fedora that looks like a bucket hat." And I was like,
"Actually, it's a bucket hat he made into look like a fedora."
Which I said is the worst of all three options.
Well, in the last episode, he was wearing that same bucket hat, and then with like gym shorts and like the really high socks.
And I had a problem with that too.
Yeah, like the gym shorts you'd wear back in the 2000s. Where they're like
really bad. It's like
long.
A1 mixtapes.
Yeah.
And
they're like 4 sizes too big.
And I told her, I was like, well, Brad's never been like a fashionista type guy. Like
he's been the opposite.
He's always had his like hat crooked and off to the side, and
because I said, what was it, last episode? He had a black ball cap on, and it was just set on top of his head. Not even on.
It was at the end of this daily.
Okay, well, not even on. It was just sitting on his head, and I said...
At least it was straight, though.
It was straight, but I told Zach, I said, that angers me so much, because one, it looks stupid, but
it's
two...
downhill from there.
But I said, two, if there's even a slight breeze, that cap is flying off his head.
He's probably...
Like, what's the point of wearing it at that? Like... Why?
He probably wears visors upside down and backwards.
And crooked. Yeah,
yes.
Crooked. Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yes. The upside backwards visors, absolutely.
I bet if we typed in Brad Fiorina, whatever his name is, and just went through Google, we'd find a picture of him with a visor upside down.
And backwards.
Yeah. It's just, he's that type of guy. I like Brad.
I do too, but his fashion is stuck in the early 2000s. Kind of like Brie Larson's music.
Hey.
Maybe that's what he listens to before he gets into it. Cohutta talks with like his roommates, and they're like, "Hey, you don't have anything to worry about. Like, you're a decoy. We're the only ones voting. You're safe." It's basically Darrell and MJ are the only ones voting.
Yeah. But Cohutta looks at all those guys in the eyes and says, "I trust you as long as you hold your word."
Okay.
Which I thought, because I had a little bit of a spoiler before we watched this. I knew that Cohutta was going home, and that I had seen stuff on the Facebook page saying,
"You need to just meet those groups."
It just pops up on my timeline.
Exactly.
I just saw it like a couple days ago. Like
it was spoiled.
But it was way like we should have already watched it by then. But it's fine.
Well, do you want to get into that? I asked
let
you,
me finish what I was saying.
bed.
Let me finish what I was saying. I knew that he had been wronged, and so when he said, "I trust all of you guys as long as you hold on to your word," I thought, "Oh no, one of these guys is going to flip their vote and put Cohutta in."
So I had a feeling Cohutta went home because I just saw that he posted a bunch of pictures, and typically that's the thing that happens.
Oh, you need to mute them.
No, him personally, because we've interviewed him.
Oh,
I saw
you need to mute him.
That's not
It's
even
the same
close.
thing.
That is not even close to the same thing.
Here we go.
I've gone through and shown those Facebook groups to where they don't even show up unless I like seek them out. And I tried to get us to watch this like 3 days ago. And anyway, but on that, and Kendall kind of did the same thing, and so I was like, it could be he's posting pictures for the holidays. Like, I'm not even going to look into it. Just kind of kept scrolling, and I was like, it could be he got double crossed. Like, that could be what happened here. It turned out that's not what happened. But I was like, I really don't feel like Darrell or MJ are the type to like go against him like that. So Cohutta and Casey talk, and that's when she gets real. She's like, "I'm pissed about this," and he's like, "Well, there's nothing to be upset about yet. We'll see what happens." And then we get Janelle talking to Melinda.
Yeah, this was stupid.
It was very like passive aggressive drama, and it was just like Janelle's like, "Hey, I'm clearly not in your alliance, and you guys are like making a big show of who's in your alliance and celebrating and singing and whatever. And so I'm just gonna let you know that like we're gonna be voting for you guys," which isn't a bad thing. Like, to know you're gonna be voted in.
Janelle was giving Melinda a heads up so that she was prepared for it.
Well, Melinda didn't like it, and her takeaway was, "Oh, we sang, and that's why we're going in."
Yeah, well, because she specifically made a point of that. Like, you guys have been celebrating, and it's like, well, yeah,
I think Janelle's problem was they were being very obnoxious about it.
I don't know.
We did start the episode off 2 episodes in a row with them doing the same thing.
I know, but I mean,
I don't think it's
no, but I'm the type of person I would get annoyed by that. Not if it's like 1 or 2 times, but if it's very constant and very loud and obnoxious, I wouldn't like that.
All right, see, we see this a lot in sports.
Okay.
Right. Like, we see it in professional sports. We've seen it with the Titans, even on both sides, where we're in Tennessee. We're Titans fans. Been a rough go of it the last few weeks.
Well, everyone's been injured.
That's right. And pretty sure we've set a record, actually, for most active players. We have set the record. So anyway, you'll see teams get just run out on. And teams will keep playing, right? Like, running up the score. And then you'll get, like, the team that's getting their butts beat, they'll get offended. You'll get fans of that team getting offended. And to me, it's like, I don't know. Y'all are professionals, man. Like,
100%.
Stop them.
Joe Burrow said that this week.
Yeah, but
I think very different scenario.
I agree.
Like,
but
I understand if there's a team getting their butt beat and the other team keeps winning, that's whatever. But if like you've won an elimination, yes, celebrate, be happy about it, but you don't have to be obnoxious with it.
I've just never believed in the mindset of temper your like celebration. If you've won, I got every reason to like, especially when like it's not even just that. It's the fact that this is an alliance, and their people have come back like 2 weeks in a row. Reason to celebrate. I don't know. I've just always been against the thinking of, hey, watch how much you celebrate. That's
not what I'm saying. They're living in the same house.
Oh, man, let them go.
But they can hear them all over the house. That would drive me nuts.
I don't think they did it for like 30 minutes at a time. Like, I think it was just like right when they get back.
And that's fine, but it very much seemed like it was a constant thing that, like...
To me, it seemed like Janelle was just trying to give a reason. It's like, oh, we got to vote for you for some reason. And it was like, well, that's a kind of dumb reason to have you vote for them. But I do think her voting for her is completely valid.
I think the voting is valid. I think it was nice of Janelle to give them a heads up. But 3, I don't have a problem with celebrating your wins. But if it's obnoxious, again, you're going into this, everybody lives together.
But obnoxiousness is in the eye of each person.
I understand. But again, everybody lives together. It's not like you're celebrating on the way back and then everybody goes to their own house.
If they're celebrating on the way back, they're on the same bus together.
But again, all in the same house. Who knows how long this went on? Same house, you can't escape it.
But then again,
it can be a lot, and it's all hypothetical. Like we're not there.
Why would that bother someone like Janelle, who them winning doesn't affect?
It does affect her in a way because she's not in their alliance.
Nehemiah brings up after the whole thing with Janelle and Melinda that he's like, I was there for Brad. I wore the beard and all that stuff. And to me, it was like, well, that's more of he wanted Derek to go home than for like, oh, I'm best friends with Brad. Like, it was a psychological thing to go against Derek. And so, I feel like he's playing this up because probably in the past, maybe some notes he's gotten from production or whatever was like, yeah, we like you, but like you're just kind of like in the background.
Which is what he typically was early on in his challenge career. He's definitely been way more entertaining in these all-star runs.
Yes.
Or more present.
I agree with that. I don't know if it's necessarily... Because I know some people have been really annoyed by him this season. Because it doesn't seem like Nehemiah that we've known... And like we've talked to in person for a very long time. Mm-hmm. So... after all that, we get a night out, which... I don't know if we've had... Have we had one this season?
Maybe.
I don't remember, but it's not an every night thing like it is on the new season.
But this is something that felt acted out or fabricated.
The whole situation?
The him like screaming.
Yes.
That felt very...
It felt like I'm going to play this up.
Yeah.
And which was weird. And maybe there was some alcohol involved. Maybe that's where this came from. They got into, and they clearly were like sitting in alliances. Like there was one group over here and then one group over here. The only person I didn't see was Ayanna, and I looked at Hannah and I was like, I don't even know where she's at right now because she's in that group, like with Nehemiah and Tech and all them. So anyway, they have this whole thing. They start going at it, and I was like, Brad's not doing anything wrong. Like he's playing this the way you should play it, from a strategic standpoint, but the next morning, Brad's out, like, I guess on the patio, like, eating breakfast or something. Nehemiah comes out, and they have a talk. And I was like, oh, this seems more like the genuine, like, real side of, I guess, Nehemiah that we haven't seen a lot of this season.
But it also felt like it made everything else prior to this sit-down feel fabricated like we've been talking about, because if you're really mad at this guy, why are you just gonna like openly just go sit down and have breakfast with him? Yeah,
you would avoid him. Like you wouldn't go like it definitely I think that's what people had a problem with his whole thing with Derek, was that it felt forced, and I guess Derek's gone now, so this is the next person. And this was like, oh yeah, this is the person that we know and who has been here for like all the other seasons we've seen him in. And, that's obviously not maybe the most exciting as far as like just someone who's like level-headed and gets along with people. But, I mean, it's why you like him in real life a lot. Mm-hmm. So they're fine. It seems fine. That's when we then go into Casey pregnancy test.
She's pregnant. It's, I almost said it's a bummer. It's not a bummer. Congratulations to Casey.
Well, yeah, if they're planning, like, if that's something they were looking forward to, what's not good is that this is like 5 seasons in a row now where someone currently on the show has been pregnant.
So this was the part that was semi-spoiled for me. I had seen all these like tweets about pregnancy. I didn't see who was pregnant, though.
See, I knew Casey was pregnant just from her posting a couple weeks ago, and I was like, oh, well, I was like, man, she must have got pregnant really quick after the show was over.
See, I'm out of the loop on all that. But you got to start, like, doing pregnancy tests, right? Like, can you do that?
I don't know from a legal standpoint, like, what the areas are. I just I'm sure if you say, like, hey, it's part of being on the show, we make everybody take physicals. This is part of a physical. You make everybody pee in a cup, male or female, and then you can test for, whatever they test for. And I mean, it's like, realistically, the day before she almost jumped off a 30-foot cliff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then,
which can't be good.
And then the next day she's laying on her stomach on a big rig, like, flying around, breathing in exhaust, and like, it's like they've got to figure something out with all this pregnancy stuff.
Yeah,
because it's not just the spinoffs, not just All Stars. Like, it's a main show too, and it's had some very sad results because of it. Going back to Natalie from Survivor, and like, it's just like, man, we just had an episode that talked with Melinda about a miscarriage and things like that, and how hard that was for her. Like, you don't want to be responsible as a production for something like that. And so I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. But I would think you would have to, because now it's been Natalie, Bettina, Teresa. There's another one in there. Casey, obviously. But then there was another one somewhere in there, and it's just like, I don't ever remember this being a thing in older seasons. And I don't know if it's just we're more involved in the world of the show, or I don't know. But anyway, she gets pregnancy test, and then she FaceTimes with her fiance again, and she holds up like 3 or 4 of them. And I was like, I took multiple versions.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what you do. She then said in a confessional, I believe, that she didn't want to tell people before the vote because she didn't want to sway any votes. And I think that is where she bears a lot of responsibility for Cohutta going home.
So do you think, had she said something prior to,
I think
maybe there's a chance?
I think Nehemiah and them don't get voted in.
Uh-huh.
Because you say, well, she's got to go home. You just vote Casey and Cohutta, and then Cohutta gets a chance to stay at least in an elimination.
Yeah.
And because now they're just like, well, we already have this elimination set with these 2 teams of 4, and like, we can't retroactively pull one out. That's the only thing I can make sense of.
But that would have been the play, though, right? Is like, instead of
I agree,
Nehemiah and Melinda being down there, just say, okay, Cohutta, you got to go in.
Yeah. So, well, I jumped ahead a little bit. So we get to the vote, and Nehemiah and Melinda are the easy vote. No one double crosses Cohutta, like they said. Nehemiah pulled Iana, came in his uniform. He knew it was coming. And then we get Latarian all tore up about his friends packing.
His heart's broken.
Yeah, like, had an eye mask on and like middle of the day, and like he's upset. I don't know. That's where I said, like, Latarian's an interesting guy.
Yeah.
Like, I can't make heads or tails of him a lot of times. So we get to the elimination, and then we find out, just kidding, there's no elimination.
So for 2 straight episodes, out of 4 possible eliminations, you've had 1.
Oh, yeah. And then actually going back to the week before, Tina threw it.
So out of 6 possible eliminations, you've had 2.
2. Yeah.
That's not good.
No. And so, yeah, you get no elimination. Casey makes the announcement that she's pregnant, and TJ says, well, first Cohutta says, well, it's not mine. And then I felt like he knew at this point he was going home because he was pretty down.
Yeah. He had already been told. Had to.
I think they'd already told him, because then TJ announces to everyone that, you can't be here without a partner, so Cohutta, unfortunately, you got to go. And that's when she got real upset about it. Like, which it sucks for Cohutta for sure. But I don't know. I don't know what the reasoning was behind it. It doesn't make sense. Especially since you just had a similar situation the week before. The only thing I could think of was you had the eliminations already set. But I said in our Slack group, you gotta, at some point, like, pull Nehemiah and Melinda out and say, all right, well, it's going to be Tech and Iana versus, it's Tech versus Cohutta. And then whoever wins gets to stay and be partnered with Iana.
Yeah.
And because now you don't even give him a chance.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Like, that's just been like the big, that everyone in our Slack group is upset about it.
It sucks. I can't imagine there's anybody that dislikes Cohutta. Maybe you're not a fan of him, but I can't imagine there's anybody that dislikes him.
He's not polarizing.
No. But they're like, it's Sarah Rice-esque, right? Where it's just
and that's what I said to Hannah. I was like, we've seen very unfair disqualifications before.
I hate that. I do. Just because you got to do something. Like, the easy, simple, me and you figured that out right here. And just talking it out. Just put him down there against Tech.
I said it to Hannah when we were recording. That's what she was getting upset about, was she's just like, it's not fair. And I was like, I get it. The only thing I can think of is that, like, you can't just have a guy just sitting up here waiting in the wings with no partner. So, like, you got to throw Cohutta into elimination and just get him to go in.
So he tweeted something that
I don't understand why Cohutta can't wait in the wings. He didn't do anything to lose.
He didn't, but we've seen people that have, Sarah Rice, 2 different seasons, like, in a row.
And MTV did that to her.
Oh, 100%.
She didn't deserve it. She did nothing wrong. Cohutta didn't deserve this. He did nothing wrong. If last episode, them changing up the format wasn't enough, this solidified it for me. MTV sucks.
Well, technically, it's not MTV. It's
the challenge production.
It's Buna Murray.
Sucks. I'm mad about it, and I know I'm not the only one.
No,
challenge production sucks for this.
Everyone in our Slack group that I saw was like, Cohutta got done dirty. And
this made me not want to watch the challenge anymore.
So he tweeted out 5 days ago.
Cohutta?
This is what kind of spoiled it for me.
See, I didn't
know how or why he went home. I really didn't understand the context, but he said, one would think the folks over it, and he added Challenge MTV, and then he did the same thing with TJ, could at least roll out a table and let me arm wrestle one of those fellas for their partner or both of them. Anywho, thanks for the love and support. Instagram,
but
folks,
even that was kind of like lighthearted.
But I think there's still some spite in there where it's like, you're right. Why not just put a table out there and let's just arm wrestle?
Rightfully so.
I mean, they played tic-tac-toe like three episodes ago.
So you can arm wrestle if you can tic-tac-toe.
Like, honestly, he got screwed over, and there, at the very minimum, you put him into elimination against the people who lost for the daily and say, well, because she's having to be sent home and we're already going to lose somebody, they were nominated. That's the other thing. It's not like this is a random team that wasn't nominated.
Yeah.
Say these people were nominated. Casey has to go home, so that means Iana's safe. And then it's between Tech and Cohutta for whoever gets the last spot.
And put yourself in Cohutta's shoes. If you're presenting him with this, and saying, "Hey, man, you're gonna have to go into elimination now."
Yeah.
You can't tell me he wouldn't be like, "All right, well, as long as I don't just straight go home
for no reason, like no fault of his own."
Yeah.
Because again, he was not who got her pregnant.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is like, and also to be fair, if we didn't have the forced pairs format from the last episode, none of this would have happened. Because he would have just been like, oh, well, that's not your partner. Like,
the forced pair, the changed format, which was the wrong choice, forced pairs that just started, you had one daily with it. This was a chain reaction from production's poor, horrible choices. They caused this.
I do think this this is the worst thing that has happened in the All-Stars. It definitely tarnishes All-Stars.
All-Stars season 2 is a dumpster fire. It's literal trash. I'm done. Like, I don't want to watch anymore.
Okay, well, we're going to keep watching it, but it's.
But I don't want to watch the challenge anymore after this.
Okay, well, we're going to keep watching
that
the
mad
challenge
about
too. It definitely tarnishes a otherwise still fun season. I don't know if it's as good as All-Stars 1. Not this is not a spoiler at all for All-Stars 3, but Cohut is not on All-Stars 3. He was an alternate for All-Stars 1. And somebody brought that up, and like you'd think at least, and I was like, honestly, like he might not want to come back.
I don't blame him.
Like if they may have reached out and said like, hey, whatever, and he's like, you know what, like I took time away from my job and my girlfriend and whatever, and came down here 2 seasons in a row. Mm-hmm. One, I was an alternate that you didn't even use, and then the second season, I got sent home for something I didn't even do. Like I can't keep just leaving like this.
That's the perfect perfect opportunity that's very much called for to answer the phone and tell them screw you.
Yeah, I don't know if that's what happened, but it wouldn't surprise me if they called him for 3 and he was just like, no thanks. Because like the only thing that's even comparable to me to this are the Sarah Rice ones where Vinny ripped Mandy's top off in the club and Sarah had to go home for that. And then when, like, the next season, Trishelle punched somebody or... No, she's quit, right?
She's quit.
She just quit Rivals, and they sent Sarah home.
Yeah.
And this is up there with... in the top 3 of the worst DQs, and Sarah Rice owns the other 2, I think.
Yeah.
So, man, it sucks for Cohutta. At the very minimum... as production, you have to at least give him a shot to stay.
Yeah.
Take Nehemiah and Melinda out.
Yeah.
Because they, again, like I said, these were the 2 people that were nominated, so it's not that far of a stretch. It's not like you're pulling Brad and Jody in or something like that.
Yeah.
So I think it's a bad move, and it does make this... And I guess there could be extenuating circumstances. They did already have a COVID shutdown and all that stuff. Maybe there's more behind the scenes with this that we don't know.
Or even better, Zach, you could do a 3-way elimination.
Yeah, it's just you have to get creative with what you're going to do.
But, again...
You can play 3-way tic-tac-toe. I don't know.
Just one person wins and 2 go home.
Like, there are ways to not have it end like this. And, yeah, I didn't even think about that. You have... Ayanna and Melinda still battle for the last girl seat, and Casey's already gone. And then you have, I don't know, best 2 out of 3 between Cohutta and Nehemiah, and then whoever does that goes against whoever Tech. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Like you could, or they did that in War of the Worlds, like the 3-way ring pole wrestle type thing.
Kyle, JP, and CT.
Yeah, so I mean, it has been done before. I just think like I haven't seen one single person in the reaction to this that was like, oh, I understand it. Everyone's just like, oh, no, he got screwed pretty hard. And it's not anything he did. And also, this is where I think Casey does bear some responsibility in this, because she said she wasn't going to tell the group until after they voted. And that whole thing took them out of the elimination.
Yeah.
I don't think they would have been voted for anyway, but if you tell them at the nominations that, hey, I'm pregnant and I'm probably going home, then they're like, well, we're just going to vote for you and Cohutta.
Yeah.
Because they asked her at that nomination if she had anything to say, and she's like, for once I'm speechless. And so I don't think this is squarely Casey's fault. I think it's like 90% production and then 10% Casey for that, and then Cohutta has zero responsibility in this.
Yeah. Sad day.
So, I mean, who smashed some heads?
Casey's baby to Cohutta.
Yeah. Zach, I don't know. Yeah, sure. Casey's baby. I don't think there's a clear head smasher.
I mean, Brad and Jody won 2 dailies in a row.
That would be the only one.
I'll go with that just to be different.
And then there's a universal head smashed.
It's either us or Cohutta as a tandem. Like,
all of us.
Every person in our Slack group and our Patreon that I've seen talk about it has all been very upset by this. And not even just because they just like, I think if you would have done this to anybody.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's why I'm so upset. It doesn't matter that it's Cohutta or somebody on my fantasy team that's, causing me to be as upset. I would be this mad if it was anybody.
Other than maybe Casey.
But Casey is the one that's pregnant that's done it to herself. But I full on believe if it's not Cohutta, it's production is smashing their own head by being dumb.
It's just inconsistent.
And causing this. Yeah. They're inconsistent and it's stupid.
Because I will say, let's hypothetical. If it's Brad's partner or Darrell's partner, I don't think they send him home.
Man, you'd hate to think that's really the case.
But there's a chance.
But if Jody or Janelle were pregnant and found out this, I don't think production would have sent Brad or Darrell home.
I don't think.
And that's nothing against Cohutta. Like, we love Cohutta.
I don't think either one of them would have let production send him home.
I think they would have been like, I came all the way down here to do this. Like, this isn't my fault. Like, you just like. I think they would have like. And
caused a scene.
And maybe Cohutta, he's just too nice. And he's just like, well, nothing I can do about it. And I think they should have thrown a fit. I think for him, people should have said something. For Cohutta.
Casey should have said
something. Yeah,
Casey
should have pleaded, like, don't send him home. Like, he didn't do anything with this. But, I mean, again, I'm hoping more comes out behind the scenes that at least makes this a little bit more sense. Because I don't think that they would have sent like people like Brad or Darrell home over this, or they would have at least said like, "Oh, I'm not. Like you're not sending me home over this." But Cohutta, he got done dirty 2 seasons in a row.
Yeah, that's bad.
So let's get into whatever sponsors.
Oh yeah. Put your shirt on, get wet. Super Soaker. All right, Zach, we're opening up again. 10 points to King's Palace, Latarian, Melinda.
Is it just 10 or is there more coming?
No, just 10.
Okay.
Latarian, Melinda, Nehemiah, and Tech. You get them all?
Yep.
10 points to Jasmine because she's now included in the group. 15 points to Tech because he's rapping. He got his own rap going. Casey broke the fourth wall during this. 10 points. But she isn't happy. -5. Let's see. Jasmine is now a part of the palace. 5 points.
You just gave her 10 points for that.
All right, well, then ditch that.
You said she's part of it, so she got 10.
Well, I gave her points for the dancing.
Oh, well, you said because she's part of it.
Well, I worded it wrong.
Okay.
10 points for the dancing, 5 points for being a part of the palace. 10 points to Casey for the family FaceTime call. And she's not on her period. I've heard a lot of women talk about it. Periods aren't fun. 5 points.
They're not.
Yeah.
But also, it also means that you're not pregnant if you have one.
It's true.
Again, I wonder if they were trying to get pregnant or not, because when she told him, he's just like, oh my, like he didn't really have a reaction.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
what's his name? Kyle?
I have no idea.
How bad does Melinda look? 10 points. Her words.
Her really strong northern accent started coming out during that. You said 10?
Yeah. -5 to Nehemiah because Save the Palace is getting old. But the kid in him is going crazy. 5 points. Tech normally swings another pole. 5 points.
Did you understand that?
I did. -5 to Ayana because she's kind of losing her mind here. But 15 points for the double expletive. I'm sure you guys remember her shouting that.
I don't, but...
No.
Yeah. All right, well, I can't repeat it.
It's
fine.
hard
to... Anyway. Is that Cohutta complimenting Casey? 10 points to Casey.
There she is.
Brad was flexing on a monster truck. 5 points. Brad and Jody win. 25 for winning, 15 for being safe. Same as last episode.
Yeah, I feel like that's just going to be a reoccurring theme.
Negative 25 to Laterian and Jasmine. They lost. But they have life shields, so plus 15 because they used them and they're safe.
And did not get a choice in it.
Yeah. Negative 25 to Tech and Ayanna because they are now going in. We're going to give negative 15 to Casey, Cohutta, Nehemiah, and Melinda because they are all nominated.
Hold on a second. Casey.
Cohutta?
Yep, he's up here.
Nehemiah, and Melinda. We're going to give 5 points to Casey because she got wings. She was drinking Red Bull.
Okay. Which are you supposed to drink Red Bull, like energy drinks to that when you're pregnant? I mean,
No, you're not supposed to have caffeine. Like, you can't drink coffee unless your doctor okays it, which usually it's like one cup or half a cup.
She didn't know at this point.
Yeah.
Well, when she announced she was pregnant, I said, I'm pretty sure she's been drinking too.
I don't know.
Well, Cohutta's got handshakes, 5 points. Casey does not, negative 5. Janelle is mad that Melinda's been celebrating, negative 10 to Janelle.
Okay.
Melinda calls it BS. I'll give her 5 points for that reasoning. Laterian says F that. I'll give him 10 points for that. Nehemiah reminds us he wore a beard, and he actually glued the beard to his face. 10 points to Nehemiah. Brad's just prioritizing the kids. We here at Smashing Heads, we agree with that sort of, lifestyle. 15 points. We're for the kids.
Oh, by the way, Hannah brought up during this episode that I never noticed it before, that Brad and Tori's first kid,
Brady.
His name is Brady, which is just a combination of their two names.
How about that?
I don't know if that was on purpose, but it's literally...
Knowing them, it could be.
I doubt it has an I at the end, like Tori does, but it still is like Brad, Tori, Brady.
Huh. How about that?
Yeah.
Brad's having a difficult night. He's ready for the check. Negative 5. He didn't sleep good. Negative 5. Had bad dreams. Negative 5.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
But we'll give him and Nehemiah 10 points for their makeup session. We get more FaceTime family calls with Casey. 10 points. She's pregnant. 15 points. We're going to celebrate with her.
Okay.
It's a happy family moment. 10 points. Ayanna is Jersey ready again. 15 points. Cohutta ain't a beggar or a pleader. 10 points. Let's see. Nehemiah gives a really deep, in-depth breakdown of the King's Palace. 10 points. But him and Melinda are voted in. Negative 25. Nehemiah wore his jersey too. He's Jersey ready also. 15 points. This is hurting Laterian's heart. Negative 10. To which I then again said, boy, he's really hurting. Negative 5.
It's full of Kool-Aid. It's not full of Kool-Aid. Maybe that's the problem. He needs more Kool-Aid.
Everyone is still in the game. 25 to Nehemiah, Melinda, Tech, and Ayanna.
Nehemiah, hold on.
Yeah, there we go. Cohutta and Casey are gone. Now, I initially did negative 25.
I would say I'd be fine with Cohutta not losing any points.
All right, then give it to Casey because that's what I was going to ask because it wasn't his fault.
No,
they literally just said go home.
Yeah, and this was not a medical DQ. Like you gave Kendall negative 25. I agree. Casey gets negative 25. Cohutta literally did nothing.
Yeah. Well, we're going to give him 15 points for the line. It's not mine.
I do like
That's the episode title right there,
agree.
I think.
I agree.
Let's see. Tech is going to buy the baby whatever it needs. 10 points to Tech for his generosity, 10 points to Casey because Tech's going to take care of the baby. He also told Cohutta he's got him too. Another 10 to Tech and 5 to Cohutta. But 15 to Cohutta. He understands that family is bigger than the challenge. Just really...
Bad time.
Yeah. Negative 20 because, as he said, he just lost half a meal. Negative 5 to Tech because he's talking about saving the palace too. It's getting old. But that's his song playing. 20 points.
See, I didn't catch that.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, are your fantasy points for the week. One last time. Actually, I'll do it one more time when we come back from the break. But put a shirt on, get wet, Super Soaker. We'll be right back. And we're back. One last time for this evening. Final shout out to our sponsors. Put your shirt on, get wet, Super Soaker. What we got, Zach?
I mean,
weird week.
I mean, yes, in all the sense of what happened. And even with Cohutta not losing points for going home, still very, very, very low scoring for Hannah's team.
It's got to stop.
It wasn't negative like last week. Darrell just got you 0.
Again?
Yeah.
Again.
Cohutta
got 15, which if we would have given him the same thing as everyone else going home, but I think this is a different circumstances. Cohutta ended up with 15, John A 0, and then Jasmine 5. So she got 20 for the week.
Oh, man.
Brad got 55, Nehemiah got 40, Latarian actually ended up with -5, Janelle -10, and Ayana with 25, so I ended up with 105 for the week. Jake, you got 40 from Jody, 0 from MJ, 35 from Casey, 65 from Tech, and then 10 from Melinda. So you ended up with 150 for the week.
Hey, okay.
So you had the biggest week. But Hannah's in third with 120. God. Jake is in second with 675, and I am in first with 760. But Jake and I are 85 points apart. So I mean that's
close.
One score.
Yeah, that's 1 week. They can change in 1 week.
I mean, like I can basically pencil Brad in for 55 because that's what he's gotten the last 3 weeks because he wins the dailies.
Yeah.
I mean it's close. The 120 is going to be hard to come back from. It's all going to depend on that final. Who wins the final? If it's a pairs final or if they're going to split them up in the final. Who knows? There's been a lot of.
Boy, I tell you, Han, 120 points after 7 weeks is just.
She had 120 points after week 4.
Let's just do the math here. I don't know what the math is off the top.
Oh,
of my
120
head.
divided by 7 would be roughly
17 points.
Yeah, I was less than 20 points a week.
God,
because 140 would be exactly 20 a week.
Man,
things might can change. We never know.
I don't want to be here anymore.
Whereas I'm averaging 96 a week right now, and Zach is averaging
112,
108.
108.
108.
I was just guessing. We'll be back with you later this week. And today's Tuesday, and we typically record these All-Stars later in the week, but we might change that up going forward just because we're not doing Spies, Lies, and Allies anymore, and we haven't mentioned it on the podcast, but here's the mention. Because of everything with the holidays, and then we were not planning on having double sinus infections, we're not going to do a reunion podcast.
No.
I just don't think any of us want to watch the 3-hour reunion and then talk about it. I feel like
it's just going to be rehashing. That's all it is.
I feel like we're not going to have a lot to add to it other than little quirks, but for the most part, it's just going to be talking about what happened. And you guys, if you wanted to watch the reunion, you watched it. I don't think anyone's going to listen to our podcast that didn't watch the reunion. And so just because we've been sick and we're trying to get back on track, we're probably going to not do that. Unless you guys all lose your minds and say,
if you lose your mind and,
demand it.
Yeah.
I just feel like there's not going to be demand for it.
Yeah.
So we're going to continue with these All-Stars recaps, and then honestly, soon, we're going to have to do a poll for what season to do in the off-season. I've already had people asking on Twitter which one we're doing, and I was like, well, honestly, I haven't even thought about it yet. But I did say our Patreon, patreon.com/SmashingHeads they get to vote. We'll give them usually 3 or 4 options, and they vote. It's got to be something that's either on Paramount Plus or Netflix. Probably Paramount Plus, just based on how this is going. And, we'll go from there. If you've got any suggestions for seasons, reach out to us. Let us know what you're thinking. But again, our Patreon, that's one of the perks is that they get to vote on stuff like that. So, again, patreon.com/SmashingHeads At Smashing Heads on Twitter, at Smashing Heads Podcast on Facebook and Instagram. And we'll be back with you sometime later this week.
Have a good night, everyone.
You remembered this time.
Yep.